Okay, hopefully I took everything out the door. We'll see how this video goes. So yeah, so Jeffrey Epstein, billionaire, hedge fund manager to celebrities, was just arrested a day or so ago on sex trafficking of minors, charges of sex trafficking minors. And duh, big surprise, right? Because he was convicted before, but he just got a few months, and he didn't really suffer. So, but now he's facing up to 40 years, which is great. And hopefully, I'm hoping what happens is they cut him a deal, and he'll rat out some other people. That would be awesome. This is huge, right? But the thing that's kind of pissing me off, I already see the headlines that, the Trump administration, they're trying to, the mainstream media, of course, they're going to try and, find some way to weave Trump in there, like he has anything to do with this shit. So, they're not going to tell you that Trump knew that he was a pedophile and he kicked him out of his club years ago when he found out. They're not going to say that, right? And I saw a report, the headlines are saying friend of Trump arrested on sex trafficking, right? And then they're also not saying the full story. They're saying like sex trafficking. I noticed a lot of the headlines are like sex trafficking, but it doesn't say minors, it doesn't say children, it just says sex trafficking. And then I saw a report where they talked about, they mentioned that Alan Dershowitz was one of the people that was mentioned. They were, had gone to Lolita Island. By the way, that's Jeffrey Epstein's island where he was holding children, and he would fly people there, and they'd have like sex with children. Gross motherfucker, right? But it's interesting because it was like a CBS News report that I saw on it. Basically, they were like, oh, but Bill Clinton was, Bill Clinton was there 2 dozen times. But Trump, said that, he was a longtime friend of Trump. And then they kind of glazed over that, right? And they use the word 2 dozen, right? So pay attention to the semantics. Where in your head, you hear the word two, you're like, oh, 2 dozen, right? Not that many times. But if they were to be accurate and say he actually traveled to the island 26 times, then that sounds more horrendous, because it is. But they just found a way to like skate through it and try to blame it all on Trump and make him look like the horrible one there. Where my deal is, all right, I think Stephen Hawking was there, some other celebrities were there. You can go once, okay? You can go once to see what it is. Maybe, if you go one time and you're like, you don't know exactly what is on the island, you're just like, oh, I'm going to an island party? This is going to be fun. Oh, wait a minute, the little kids here? Oh, hell no. And then you bounce and you don't go back, okay? But if you keep going back, and like Bill Clinton did 26 times, then you're fucking kids. You're fucking kids. You're a motherfucker who's fucking kids, okay? So, yeah, I think Trump went, he found out what was going on, and then he bounced. He didn't go back, okay? Kevin Spacey's been lots of times, allegedly, right? And then, like I said, he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his club when he found out what he was really into. So, I bet you there's no videotapes of Trump fucking kids. There's no proof of Trump fucking kids, because if he was, they would have found that shit out already. It's all the stuff that they've tried to find on him, they've tried to make up about him, which, I mean, you would think that would have been the first thing that they would have pulled out on him. They've said it, they've accused him of it, but there's been no proof, right? And supposedly what Jeffrey Epstein would do as well, he would invite these people to the island, and then they'd have sex with kids, and he'd videotape them, so he'd have dirt on them. So I bet you there are videotapes of Bill Clinton, like lots, right? But there's none of Trump. I bet. Right? There's proof. There's proof on some heads are gonna roll. And I don't really like Alan Dershowitz. I know he's like a conservative and shit, but fuck him. I'm not really, I don't trust him. I don't think that I've always just had a funny feeling about him. You know, have that, you know, that itch in your stomach. Maybe I'm wrong, but for the most part, I think he might be going down. I think that it's going to be a bipartisan thing too. And the news, of course, are going to focus on the conservatives, but they're going to be conservatives and Democrats going down, because pedos, this is a bipartisan issue. And I just, you know, I hope that people are really honest about how pedophiles need to be punished, and not get all wrapped up in the left-right paradigm thing, and not acknowledge the people on the right side that are doing this horrible shit too, just because you want to win. Because I've saw people do that shit with Candace Owens, and that really turned me off. And I'm gonna keep talking about it. I don't give a shit if you say that I'm jealous. But the thing that pissed me off about that situation is, you know, you don't, like, doxing is bad. Doxing kids is bad. But she can do it, and she's okay, and she gets a pass because she's a conservative. All right? Don't do this shit with the pedophile shit that's about to drop, because you're no better than the crazy ass leftists that you criticize if you do, right? And just going back to the Candace Owens situation, I think a lot of people that support her, they honestly don't know the situation. They may have heard about it, they may have blown it off because they think that the left probably made this up to, like, they will slander her, but she really did, and there's proof out there of her doing that if you want, and she had no remorse for what she did. But there are people that actually did know about it, and they still gave her a pass anyway because she's one of us. And I think that people get into this, like, mode, or quote unquote one of us, not one of me, but I think people get into this mode where they you know, they accept horrible doings, they accept monstrosity, because they see how evil the left has become, and they think that they still need somebody on the right that is just as bad to use against them. But when you do stuff like that, when you give people a pass like that, and you don't call them out, you're making a deal with the devil, and it's gonna blow up in your face. So I don't give a shit. I know, like, anytime I bring up Candace Owens in a negative way, there's something like hot and heavy guys that are just like, don't talk about her. Oh my God. You know, I'm like, what the fuck? She's your chocolate fantasy, not mine. I like men, okay? So maybe I'm a woman. I can see through it. I'm not attracted to her, and I'll just call out bullshit as I see it. Okay? And for all of you guys that get pissed and you're just like, oh, you need to stick together because you're black women, please also tell that to Milo and Ben Shapiro, because they don't get along either. Okay? Jewish men, conservative men need to stick together, right? So I think I should be allowed to call out bullshit no matter what the person looks like. And I feel like I always have to elaborate. It's so, like, frustrating that I even have to do that if I bring that situation up. But it's just a prime example, you know, of this whole, like, left-right paradigm thing where, like, I think that the left in this point in history is very crazy and very bad, but the right has just as much potential as being that demonic and evil as well. So don't just think because you're a right and you're a conservative and you're not a leftist that you're not, like, an evil person, because that has nothing, your political affiliation has nothing to do with whether you're those things. What has to do with the things, what has to do with is the actions that you take, right? The character, the judgments that you make, the people that you support. And if you're going to support people on either side that are pedophiles, that are doxers, that are thieves, that are liars, that, you know, are anything that goes against your moral standards, but you're going to give them a pass, then, you know, I don't really know what to tell you except that, you know, get ready for karma, because it's a fucking bitch. So anyway, that's all I have to say about that. I hope that some heads roll on both sides, because when you're messing with children, it doesn't matter what party you belong to. you're a horrible, evil person. And this is supposedly, this is a huge deal because this is a way that they use to compromise people, is get them, involved with children or doing something bad, have some dirt on them, and then they're enslaved. Their allegiance is to the dark side, and maybe I'm hoping in some cases too that not everybody does it willingly. If you've ever seen that documentary on Vice, and you also look up the drug scopolamine. Is what they use as a hallucinogen that they use. You can put it in somebody's drink. You can turn it into powder and blow it in their face. You can put it in something and smell it. It's colorless, it's odorless, it's tasteless, and it basically is a hallucinogen that takes away all your willpower. And whoever is talking to you when you're under the influence of it, you are under their control, and you don't even look like you're high. So I think, that's a drug too that definitely can be used to, maybe you think you're a good person, maybe some of these people do have good intentions and they're not going to go to the island, or they're not going to mess with kids, but then they get under the influence of that drugs, and they're just put in a really bad situation. So, I mean, hopefully this is going to be a breakdown of a huge part of the demonry, is that a word, that's going on in America. But the sad part is, it's not just an American thing. This is, sex and Satanism, sex rings and Satanism, pedophilia. This is something that happens all over the world. China has their own, India has their own, Thailand has their own. It doesn't matter what race, doesn't matter what ethnic group or country or whatever. They're pedophiles of all races, so in all cultures. And this dude really supposedly sold a lot of kids to people all over the world. So I'm hoping that we'll at least get some of these people justice. And for the poor kids and the poor people that had to go through this, I hope that they can speak out and they can get some justice as well, because it's just a horrible, horrible thing that is going on and continues to go on. And as long as nobody speaks up, as long as people keep getting away with it, it's going to continue to go on. So, all right, you guys, that's it. Peace, bye-bye. Mwah.